So it is fall, y'all.
Yes.
And our topic this week is work-life balance. Do you feel balanced, Tina?
You know what? Last week, I mentioned how I felt like I did not have work-life balance. I felt like I could not add anything to this discussion. But as I was doing my research, I feel like maybe I'm more balanced than I thought. So I'll get into that, I guess. I don't know. Do you want me to get into it now or?
Well, I would say that, yeah. I mean, it's a time to talk about our personal experiences and being your friend for several years. I would say that you've actually made some major strides at trying to do more of a work-life balance. So tell
Yeah.
us about it, what you've done.
So, when I was starting off on my own, starting my own brokerage, just kind of like separating from Real Estate Masters Group, where we both work together, I was like, "Oh, can I do this?" I'm a little bit scared. I talked to my telehealth therapist. I also have a mentor that I talk to virtually, and they were all kind of saying like, "Okay, you need to not work 7 days a week. You need to set one day of the weekend as completely off limits." And so based on just kind of how my schedule was, I was like, okay, I'll do Sunday. Sunday will be my day that's completely off. And I just like decompress and stop working. Because, in our previous podcast, we mentioned I have a lot of side gigs. I have a lot of side hustles. And each of those became a main gig. And so that takes up a lot of time.
Right.
So I was getting a little bit burned out. And actually, I felt the most burnt out during the pandemic when I was working from home because it was so accessible. I just couldn't stop working.
Right.
I would just like walk by the home office, or I'd set up my laptop on the dining room table and I'd be, I couldn't even stop for dinner. Like it just became so much. And I had to kind of figure out how to like step away from it. So dedicated one day off. I'm still working on that. I don't always meet that, but I try.
Right.
And then, but as I was doing my research, they were kind of saying there are two types of employees, two types of workers, ones that are splitters and ones that are blenders. And the splitters like to have a defined break between work and life. And then blenders like to blend those things. So when they said that, they said splitters actually have a better work-life balance. And I was like, now that I have opened an office and I do my work in my office and I come home and not work, I'm a very clear splitter. I do not like to take work home, and I do not like to work from home in the morning. I come to the office. If I have to work later in the office, I will, but I like to get everything done at the office. Then I come home and I just chill, veg.
And I don't feel like you've been a splitter for a long time. I mean, I've talked to you several times where you're working late into the night and then you go home and you work some more and then you're starting to work in the morning.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is a newer thing for you.
It is a newer thing for me. I don't think I knew when to turn it off before. Like I don't think I knew to value the off time.
Right.
And I think maybe as I've gotten older, and more introverted, I've come to realize that my energy is not infinite and I have to take time to recharge so that I can be a better person when I come back to work. Yeah.
And I think that the downside of that, obviously, if you don't realize that, is you burn out, and you can burn out completely where, you need to then start over completely.
Yes. What's happening back there?
Thanks, throwing up.
No.
Like while sleeping.
Oh.
But now he's awake. Hold on one second. All right. So where were we?
I don't remember, to be honest. I've been thrown off my track completely. Train derailed.
So work-life balance.
Work-life balance. I feel like I was talking about some semblance of work-life balance, realizing that I feel like I have more balance now than I did before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, I think my changing point was I had gotten into resale. I was working for Century 21. I was working until like 10 o'clock at night. I was a workhorse. I was just trying to, strive to get things done. That's all I wanted to do. I was a complete workaholic, but I wanted to travel. I lived a year abroad in England during college, and that's really where my heart lied. And I just kind of said, okay, no, I'm not going to do this and completely burn out and not live my life. So ever since then, I try to take, 2 to 3 trips per year, try to be as adventurous as possible. And I think that to me is my work-life balance. I work hard, but I do play hard. I do make sure to do the things that are goals on my list, and I always am setting new things that I want to do and try.
Nice.
I think there's other things I'm still working on, like having massages and stuff like that. I think is part of work-life balance. It's just that element of self-care. But I also find that in the morning, I'm really good about taking some time and waking up slow. I see the morning time, Tina, not so much.
I like to sleep in my mornings. I am a night owl, so that's why I work a lot later, because my brain works better at night.
Right.
But in the morning, for me, sleep is very important.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not part of the people where I will sacrifice my sleep for other people. Like, it's important to me. I can't function without it. So
Right.
I will, even if I stay up a little bit later, I set my appointments a little bit later in the day so that I can get enough rest and wake up in the time that I need to. I know that that's important to me.
Well, and I think that's a huge part in the research that I did for this week. That's important. It's not just, taking time off for other things. It's just making sure that you're taking care of yourself, that you're feeding yourself well, that you're sleeping well, that you're getting out and, moving your body. I mean, all of these things are a part of work-life balance. One of the biggest thing that I read is that accept that there's no perfect work-life balance. Like, you're gonna have days where you got to get out there and grind, and the next day you may have the whole day off, and that's perfect. But there is no day in, day out perfect work-life balance. You got to work at it daily, and you got to put time in ahead of time for when you can.
Yeah. And I feel like if certain things are important to you, like if you have a family and you want to be there to go to kids' games and go to the plays and whatever, like those are like hard no's. Like you have that time set aside. And I think, should never sacrifice like family time if that's important to you, right? Like I think work-life balance is really about understanding what is important to you. If you had a perfect day, how do you want to spend your time? Of course, like you can't be like, I don't want to work at all and I just want to play all day, right? Like that's not, there's no balance in that, right? Like you have to be able to support family, you have to be able to support yourself. But if you had to choose what's important to you, what you can't sacrifice on, and then, what you can. So I think knowledge of where you want to be, how you want to spend your time, what your values are, that can help you balance and find direction.
Right. And I think that one of the things you could do with that is time blocking. So like you said, you put the most important things on there first. You put your family stuff, or you put the event that you've been planning on, you chalk that up first and you fill other things in. There should be a priority in your life. The second thing that I found on my research is the easiest way to have work-life balance is find a job you love. If where you're going, if you're passionate about what you do, then it makes everything else so much easier. If your job is draining you and you're finding it difficult to do the things you love outside of work, something's wrong. Because you're not getting your downtime at home to do things you want to do, and you're not enjoying your job. So why grind at something if it's not something that you love?
Yeah. What if it pays really well and you hate it?
I mean, it all depends on your priorities, right?
That's true.
Yeah, if it plays fantastically in everything else in your life, then maybe you put up with it until you can't,
True. It's all how you look at it.
So this article said you might be working in a toxic environment for a toxic person or doing a job that you truly don't love. If this is the case, it's time to find a new job. And I know that sounds very flippant. I know that sounds very easy, but yeah, if you're truly unhappy, go on interviews and try to figure out what's your priority and where you want to be, because then that changes that one thing in your life. That one thing that you're out doing probably 40 hours a week minimum.
Yeah. It's like half of your life.
Yes.
Basically, half of your daily life is like working.
Then do it for people that you like to be around, or at least, 80% of the people. And then, you're happier.
When I was doing the research, it was saying that if you have an if you have an employer, your boss, your supervisor, they have good work-life balance. A lot of times they will understand it for you as an employee. So if you find someone who gets it and who respects that, I think that helps too.
Oh, I think that's
like
huge.
A company culture that respects it.
Yeah. I think that if your boss can see that you're getting burned out, or you're able to communicate to them like, hey, I'm not at my best right now. If I can go and do this one thing, I think that I could come back better. I mean, the production that you give after taking care of yourself is huge. And the fact that I think any boss that can listen to you and help you live your best life, to help you get to whatever your goals are, is huge. A lot of times you have bosses that they only care about their job and them looking good. And those are also typically the ones that don't retain people for a long time.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
But bosses also that train people up don't retain people for a long time. But then you're making a better splash on the world. You're helping your people be happy, which I think, to me at least, is more important.
Yeah, I think if you can view everyone as they're human and they need breaks and they have different interests, they can't just be working for you all the time. Like, I am immensely interested in my own work, but I get it if other people aren't, like, I understand that. So, yeah.
Nice. The next one that I saw, prioritize your health. Your physical, your emotional, your mental health should be your main concern. So if you're having any issues with anxiety or depression, you think therapy may benefit you, get those in your schedule. Make sure that you're truly taking time to listen to yourself and know what's going on. Sometimes it's more important to do those things than to even go to like your spin class.
So I had a friend who was saying that her husband, she had suggested that her husband, get a therapist. He's like, I don't have time for that. I work all this time. And I was letting her know, I was like, look, there's telehealth. Like, I speak to my therapist via telehealth, and like sometimes it's via Zoom, sometimes it's via the phone, just like a phone call that I can do while driving. And so, like, if he commutes a lot for work, that could be a good time where he could be talking to his therapist. Like, there's so many ways that are flexible now for that kind of, that kind of time.
Right. It makes you a better employee. It can help make you a better person, and it may help you understand the things that are kind of holding you back, or the things that you're struggling with. And I think all of those things are so important to know how to help you best, and how to be, a better person at home with the people that love you.
Yeah. Because there's always going to be conflict. You're always going to have to deal with issues. Like, problems are always going to be happening. And I think talking to like a mental health professional, they can help teach you like coping skills, increase your resiliency to stress, maybe reframe the way that you think about that issue, maybe so you can see it from not just your own perspective, from other people's perspective, and kind of understand the issue like in a way where you're like, okay, maybe I don't have to feel this bad about it.
Right. Do you want to take one, or do you want me to do my next one?
Here, I'll take one.
Here.
Here. It says for Managers, it says, figuring out what a healthy balance looks like while running a team, office, or company. It's challenging, and managers are 27% more likely than their employees to feel stress in the workplace. This is according to a Gallup research. So it was kind of saying that people really have to move on from the I have to like mentality. Everything is important, and then actually switch more to a let's choose to do this, and let's choose to only do the few things that really matter. That
Right.
way you're not um reacting to what is an urgent issue, but rather doing things that really matter.
I like that. I actually have been working with like a health coach, and I know I had kind of a breakthrough in the fact that I was having this hard time. I wanted to get out and I wanted to walk. And it was
Mhm.
just walking. It shouldn't be that hard. I have plenty of
Mhm.
time to walk. Like, but in my head, I'd be like, well, if I do that, then I could get sweaty and then I wouldn't be ready for the next thing. Or if I do that, then and we said, you know what, reframe it. I get to. I
Yeah.
get to go out and walk. I get to go explore. I get to go take Hank out and explore the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it just that little shift
Mhm.
and how I thought about it just made it so much easier. It was not a problem anymore just to get out
Mhm.
and walk anytime I could.
Mhm. Nice.
So I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's nice.
Um, one of the ones that I found, don't be afraid to unplug. I think this is extremely important. It's really hard for me to do. Um, I get a little anxious if I don't have my devices where I can be at everybody's beck and call.
Mhm.
But yeah, take some time with a normal real book. I mean, these things exist.
Yeah.
And see what your comfort zone is without it, because I think we're constantly inundated with, these little dopamine and serotonin boosters and these little games that are on our phone, and
Mhm.
it's stuff that's entertaining, but is it stuff that you really need? Is it
Mhm.
anything that will actually change your life, change your viewpoint of the world, change, make you better?
I had a period of time where I was posting heavily on like Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram. I was daily posting, and that was part of my goals for that year. But then once I got to the end of the year, I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, and then afterwards, I didn't like post at all. And it was really interesting. At first, I was kind of like a little bit like, oh, I'm having little withdrawals. But then once I had gotten several months into not posting daily, I was like, oh, okay, it's not, I'm okay. I can handle. And now it's hard for me to get back on. So that's another thing.
It's the habits we create, right? It's the
Yes.
things that we do daily
Mm-hmm.
in order, both good and bad, that can cause issues. Um,
Yeah.
Next one I have, take a vacation. And I think honestly, like I talked about earlier, this is my main thing. I have a list of places that gets longer every year,
Yeah.
where I want to go and I want to see and I want to explore and I want to. I feel like it changes my viewpoint and it widens my expectations of what's possible, and it just makes me happier
Yeah.
to explore food, explore cuisines. This is explore same thing, food and cuisines, but whatever.
Yeah.
um Meet people and actually truly talk to them and learn about their walks of life. um to me, that's everything.
I feel like when I travel abroad, I definitely get my eyes like open to a whole different world where, the American politics is non-existent because
Right.
they're not from America, they don't care. And then of course the food, like you mentioned, uh, just different daily like aspects. Like I remember going to Australia, and everyone in Melbourne was just really cute. Like they'd ride their little bikes to wherever they were going to work, and they're just up adorable. And I was like, gosh, like I just like a slacker in California, just so relaxed. It was just really different. And it was nice to like have my eyes open to like the different ways people live their lives. And it makes me feel smaller, and I feel like, oh, okay, my problems really aren't that big. My issues
Right.
aren't that big. I am a tiny, tiny, tiny little speck in this global world where so many people exist. So yeah.
And I think it helps your gratitude too, right? So you feel
Yes.
like, yes, I think my problems are big, but
Mhm.
when you're looking at people who are living on way less, or people that
Mhm.
are experiencing so much hardship,
Mhm.
and you're just like, wow, like I am extremely grateful for where I'm at and how hard I've
Mhm.
worked, and what I can do.
Yes.
I mean, I think that helps. That mindset helps everything.
Yes. Although I do have to mention, I don't really like to travel abroad anymore because it's just like a lot of work. Like now, honestly, I just want to take little like domestic trips, just small. Like I've been talking to Scott. I'm like, I just want to rent a little motorhome and like travel around the US and just see different scenes. I don't need to go out of the country. Like I just need to get away. Like just enough. I was reading something that said the perfect amount of time away was like 8 days. 8 days of a vacation is just enough time for your brain to be like, okay, I'm on vacation and like resets. And I thought I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. 8 days is good. Like, I'll take that.
8 days doesn't sound bad. It's funny because I'm totally the opposite, right?
Uh huh.
I'm trying to go as far away as possible. I'm planning on it for at least the next 5 to 10 years. I want to go
Hmm.
far away, and then I'll concentrate on staying closer. I want to go to, climb to the top of things while my body still can,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
just go. And yeah, it is a pain. It's
It
totally
is
worth
a pain.
totally worth it.
Yeah, maybe. Still worth it. Just don't want to do it.
Fair. No, that's fair. You got to go with where you got. Um, Set boundaries and work hours. I think this one is huge. I think it's something that I don't know, how was it, like 5 years ago, Tina, that I changed my ringtone, not my
Yeah.
ringtone, my voicemail, and it said like, hey, if you reach me after 7, I'll call you back tomorrow. If you reach me on Sunday, I'll call you back on Monday.
Yeah.
And just setting up that expectation. I had so many agents that commented like, I really like that. I'm like, you have to,
Yeah.
because you got to just protect your time a little bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was having clients that called me like 11. It's like, no, I mean, you got to think about your providers. Sometimes if you don't set up those boundaries, then you're their beck and call.
Hmm.
But if you say like, I'm a professional and these are the hours that I answer the phone and this is the time that's my time,
Hmm.
then you should be able to do that.
Yeah. Um, I think that's very smart. I feel like most of our work should be done during certain hours. Like, what can I really do
Right.
after 10 p.m.,
Right.
or even after 8 p.m.? Banks are closed, escrow offices are closed, like, couriers are closed by that time. So it's like, it doesn't really make sense. I understand if people want to like ask questions or something, but there's a time limit to that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
What else you got?
So getting more into like remote work. So you know how everyone really wants to do, I feel like the American dream right now is to have remote work, work from home, get paid a good amount, and not have to go into the office. That was my thought. But when they did research, they said that wasn't always the case. People
Hmm.
do like to come into the office and work. And that kind of makes sense for like um people who want to have that office socialization. That makes
Mm,
sense. People who like to have the structure,
right.
having a place away from the house to do work. Like, I think that makes sense. It was saying flexibility doesn't always translate into a better work life balance. So, remote workers often experience high work intensity, reduced autonomy due to their ability to communicate with colleagues through their devices at any time. So, this constant connectivity can actually blur the boundaries between work and non work. So, you were talking about boundaries. Remote working may not actually be the best if you want to establish boundaries.
Yeah. And I would agree with that. There's sometimes that I get into my, home office
Hmm.
where it's all day long. There's some day where I like skip by my home office and like, not now, maybe later.
Hmm.
Not now. But I think that you have to, make your list of things that you have to get done, your priority, and then
Hmm.
your secondary, to get things set up for other
Yeah.
days. And then as long as you get to a certain point, then you can knock off if you need to, or if you're still feeling productive, you can do more.
Yeah. For me, I have like my planner always in front of me. I have my appointments that I have for the day. And then I have like a to-do list of things that I need to get done. Some of them are, those are my top priorities. I
Right.
would feel really good if I got these things done. And then the rest of them, I use kind of like a bullet journal style notation where it's like, if I don't get them done, they get pushed to the next day. And it's okay. Like those ones, they can be done later in the week. So
Right.
yeah, I'm okay with that. For me, it's like if I get those big 3 done, I feel good.
I like that. I found a 2023 Gallup poll showed that 77% of employees are not engaged at work. So this leads to high costs for the company and increased stress for employees.
Mhm.
In fact, employee engagement has 3.8 times more influence on stress than location. So however they feel like they're being listened to or not listened to actually causes the most stress, whether they're, working locally, whether they're working from home.
Interesting.
And I can see that if you feel like what you're doing, what you're putting forth is not being seen,
Mhm.
or you're worried about something changing in your company where, you could be let go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally see how that would affect you.
And I feel maybe that also gets into like your supervisors maybe not valuing your work either. Like they're not on the same page as you, they don't understand you. You feel like left out but also like not appreciated.
Right.
Mhm. I can see that. Um I looked into a little bit of research on how work-life balance started. So it said in the late 1800s, Sigmund Freud suggested that there was a balance of two things: work, which is a necessity, and love, which is based on society and individual well-being. So work is professional tasks, contributions to the necessities of society, and love is self-care, as well as friend and family relationships. So work-life balance, the phrase, was coined in the 1970s and has been used to emphasize workplace ethics to prevent employee burnout and encourage long-term sustainability. Um, they said your individual's identity is largely shaped by your work, and your career takes up much of that, the pie of your life. So, being overworked with little space for anything else leads to physical and mental health complications like depression, anxiety, and a compromised immune system.
That makes sense. Again, we've talked about this before, what you focus on grows. So if you're
Mhm.
spending the majority of your time at something that you're not feeling valued at, that you're just feeling stressed from, then that does take its toll on everything else in your life. That's
Mhm.
Sigmund, man. He's got his finger in every pie.
Oh my
I think we
gosh.
should try something new where we try to bring Sigmund up in every single.
Well, Sigmund Freud.
He could be our third nerd.
Oh my gosh. He's been nerding from the grave.
No, some of his things are too wonky.
Oh.
I did find some signs of an unbalanced work-life dynamic. Um, you can't stop thinking about work when you're not at work. This is typically people who find they're difficult to draw boundaries between work and life. They're at a higher risk of burnout. Your relationships, both inside and outside of work, are beginning to suffer. You may be easily irritated at coworkers and distant with loved ones. You feel off. You have unexplained aches and pains. I call that getting older, but okay. You may rarely have energy or find it difficult to focus when at work. Um, when you're not at work, everything seems uninteresting or unimportant. You just don't feel like doing anything unless you have to. I call that introversion, but that's okay. Just basically like that, if you're feeling off for some reason, I think you just have to drill into what that off feeling is.
It almost seems like, based on your list, when you're at home, you think about work, and when you're at work, you don't want to be at work.
Absolutely.
So that's just a bad work-life balance. When you're at work, you're
Absolutely,
not
yes.
doing work. And when you're trying to live your life, you're thinking about work. Yeah, that
Right.
sounds terrible.
Right.
Oh.
I have a few tips to have a good work-life balance. One of them I thought was really interesting. Embrace the way your brain works. Use
Mm-hmm.
productivity hacks like a timer to work in short focus bursts. Block out all other distractions so you can make the most of your time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of this is just being aware of what your personality and what you thrive best on. Like Tina is a
Yes.
super late night person. I am not. I am a
Yeah.
super early person.
Yeah.
Um, I still would say that I do my best work in the morning, not right when I first wake up. I need that little time to wake up slow, but um yeah, or anytime I'm around creativity. I love
Yeah.
that. And I do more creativity stuff at night. And work at a certain time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you again feel that constraint, um, this one's interesting. Instead of turning off things, is enlist technology to help you unplug. Use an app to block distracting websites during the day, and then block work tools after hours. Like use things to try to make sure that where you're at is where you're putting your effort in,
That's
and
pretty cool.
not doing the opposite. Um, find something outside. Find something you love outside of work to engage
Mhm.
in. And just like Tina, she'll have another business if she keeps on doing that.
I love hobbies.
Yes, you do. And another thing, work with a coach or therapist. I think that no matter what you're interested, there's somebody out there that can help you get to that next level. Um,
I think
you
what's
know,
nice too is that they're with a coach and a therapist, they're thinking about your well-being. It's
yeah,
not like you're enlisting the help of your boss. They may have a different
ulterior motive.
agenda,
Yeah.
right? Like, no, I think you should keep working, something like that.
Well, and one of the things that you brought up earlier, if you know that you have a good manager, if they set an example for your team,
Hmm.
and showing they are trying to protect your work-life balance as well as theirs.
Hmm.
Um, respecting working hours, I think, is huge. If you're a manager, don't
Yeah.
expect people to jump just because you think they should. It's
Yeah.
that should not be a priority if it's their downtime.
I have definitely heard of some like friends telling me that, their manager is very much like using the buzzwords of work-life balance and they take time off, but then they expect the employees to keep working, So like not always when a manager has good work-life balance is it going to extend to the employee. I think
Right.
they have to not just have it for themselves, but also understand that the employees need it too. Like just because your boss takes a ton of time off doesn't mean that they're going to appreciate you doing it. So I think
True.
it's finding that. One thing you had mentioned before is like working towards like work in a way that matches the way you are. So
Right.
you know how you were saying you work in the mornings, you have your creative thought kind of in the mornings after you've given yourself some time. And then for me, I work later in the evenings. That is my creative time. But I think so going back to the clean defined boundary of work and home versus blending it, I think if the employees understand what works best for them and if they can communicate that to the employers, that would be the best. So some
Right.
of the research I saw was that the bosses think that you want a certain thing and may push you into what they think you want.
Right.
They're not trying to, maybe they're not trying to be like greedy or whatever. They just don't understand. So I think again, we have to communicate. The employee has to communicate with the boss and letting them know that could I get the option of working in this way? I think it would work better for me and increase their productivity but also their like balance.
Right. And also make them feel heard. Yeah, I think a lot of
Yes.
times it's not that the manager is being bad, is the
Hmm.
manager only sees things through their what works for them.
Yeah.
So if you say like I apologize, but I don't work that way. This
Hmm.
is my prime time. If there's a way that I can come in later in the day, I'll still, do my full hours.
Hmm.
But I need that time in the morning to sleep, or I
Yeah.
need, this is the way that I work best. I think if you're able to communicate that with showing how you work best and how you could be more productive, I think
Hmm.
that's huge. I think a
Hmm.
lot of managers would understand that.
Hmm.
And it comes across a little bit less than like you don't want them to think you're just being entitled. Like, I don't want to come in early. You say like, no, it's because I actually work this much harder and I'm able to actually do quality things. If I work on my natural circadian rhythm, then you're going to get better output from me instead of just what I try to grind out just because you say I'm going to be better at this time.
So my boyfriend works a government job and theirs starts at a regular morning hour. And a part of me is like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to have like a, you know, a cushy government job with like, you know, whatever. And he's like, you would never be able to do this. And I think a part of the reason why I got into real estate was because I knew I probably wouldn't, my personality and my like circadian rhythm would probably not fit with a typical job. Like, you know, I don't think I would function well in that. So I had to find my own time where I could. So that's what led me down this path and to the other, you know, side jobs that I have. But
we talk about that a lot. So Tina and I always talk about this government job, you know, you retire, you get a pension.
Yes.
Again, I think that's just not our personality styles. Listening to what somebody else tells us to do. I think we're a little bit more natural born entrepreneurs, and there's ways to still get to that retirement and still be comfortable and still live the way that suits us best. But yeah, every once in a while, of course we're like, like what, 15 years in a government job. I'm like, no, I don't think we'd last 2 weeks.
No, I don't think so. I think I would get burnt out of that type of job. Speaking of not having work-life balance, I don't think it would work for me as much as I would like to fantasize about it.
And I think that's where it comes back to self-awareness again. The people you listen to on podcasts, the people you listen to on how their business works, the people who say, you know, wake up an hour earlier and grind out and run every morning. I mean, those are people that don't appeal to Tina. I kind of like it. It does not mean I sleep less. It just means I go to sleep earlier. But I mean, it's, you find what actually works for you. Don't try to put yourself into a box that somebody else tells you you're supposed to be in. Learn what actually works for you, and if it keeps on working, then do more of it, and if it doesn't, then switch it for something else.
Do you know, this is a rare fact that I've never told anyone, I don't attend any meetings before 10 a.m.
Oh, I know. No, you do sometimes.
Very, very rarely.
And I'm so proud of her when she does.
Very rarely. I'm just like, fine, I'll attend this one. But like, I'll search through the board meetings and I'll be like, nope, too early, not within my time frame, not going to that. Okay, I'll go to this one.
You're not the only agent. There's a couple of my other friends who are the same, that they're just like, no. And that's fair. Totally fair. I honestly think that almost everything, classes that are offered should be offered and recorded so that people on their own time can go and still get the learning, even if they're unable to attend.
Right. Asynchronous, I think is what they call it, right? So you can attend a class at any time that you desire, anytime that works for you. I agree. I feel like that should be the case, you know?
I mean, I think that's exactly where podcasts kind of come from and webinars kind of come from, because you can pull it up when you have the time. You can pause it if you need to take a phone call. You can still get all of that great knowledge, but you don't have to be in a specific place at a specific time. You know, that doesn't always work out for people's schedules.
What do you think prevents that? Do you think it's because it's like harder if someone's putting on a class and their goal is to network and get contacts? Is it harder to do that when they're doing it via Zoom or hybrid or whatever it is? Must be a reason that they're not doing that.
I think a lot of it comes down to the presenter. So if the presenter does want people to be there, or if they, like, lawyers don't like it, because things could change. And if somebody pulls it up 5 years from now and they say like, well, this lawyer said this, and now they're being held to something that wasn't true at the time. So a lot of the more litigious or people that could be held accountable don't like to have things like that recorded for in perpetuity.
Yes, that makes sense.
I think that, I mean, what a great world we live in, that we can go on YouTube and say like, how do I fix my vacuum? How do I get to the next level of my career? How do I become a public speaker? I mean, everything is out there and it doesn't always require payment.
And I think that comes from people who are generous enough with their time and have put together a watchable video and is willing to share their knowledge. So
Right.
it's really like a generosity of someone who did all of that, right? It's there for you because someone took it upon themselves to create a video that's not terrible,
Right.
like audio is there, lighting is there, like they did a lot of work, like they put it together and they didn't have a lot of yammering in the beginning like I'm doing right now, like they put some effort into it and I appreciate that.
I love that your extra 2 words was yammering.
Yeah, my yammering.
Well, do we have anything else we want to talk about for this work-life balance thing?
I don't think so. Continuing on with my little point when I said there was a disconnection, it says when managers don't account for the work style preferences of their workers, it can lead to mismatches that can harm an organization's productivity, lower engagement, which you talked about, and accelerated burnout and turnover. I think it's something we already mentioned, so not anything new. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I think that so a manager has 2 different things, right? They have to try to see how they can do their job best, and they need to try to see how they can take care of their not their customers, take care of their employees to see how to take care of them best. And I think that once you get to that understanding, that you can actually help people get to their full potential, and that's huge.
Nice.
Alrighty then. Well, we are wrapping up this work-life balance that everybody's still striving for.
Yeah. Do you have facts?
We got some facts.
Oh, cool.
And because we are both wearing fall colors and it's currently fall, we are going, oh, where'd it go? It's here somewhere. Hold on. Please hold. Nope. Where did you go?
It's gone.
Oh, no, there we go. Okay. So we're going to talk about fall or autumn.
Okay.
First one that I thought was really weird and I kind of like. So autumn can affect your health. During the autumn season, the clocks go back, which means we get an extra hour in bed. Although the extra 60 minutes in bed might be satisfying enough for some, research has revealed that this time change actually has some health benefits. University of Colorado revealed that the number of fatal heart attacks drops by an average of 20%.
Wow.
After the autumn time switch. That extra hour in bed does us a world of good. There's growing evidence to show that sleep deprivation takes the greatest toll on our hearts. It also says autumn months can also trigger mild weight gain. Although we have a feeling all those pumpkin spice lattes and s'mores may also play a part in it. Researchers believe that the lower levels of vitamin D from shorter days and less contact with the sunshine plays a role in the autumn and winter weight gain. As vitamin D is thought to increase fat breakdown and reduce the amount of fat the body stores. A lack of it can lead to the average weight gain of 2 to 4 pounds each year during the season. And then there's a caveat. You can get your vitamin D through other sources. You can have oily fish, red meats, and egg yolks, which are a good source to compensate for the lack of sunlight.
I need some more vitamin D.
I think we all do. I think that's a very big random point. So I think I'm actually gonna leave it with that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thank you. That was really interesting. So I guess it's your turn for a mistake.
Oh, it is. Gosh, so many mistakes. Okay, this is a pretty big one for I think everybody.
Okay.
My mistake for this week, because we have so many.
For this week, yes.
Making plans and assuming that everything's going to stay exactly like I planned. Because I am a planner, and I will say, I think the biggest one, actually, the team, didn't you share this with me? Like, you have your whole plan that you're taking your clients out, and then
Yes.
your client calls and they have one more.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, because it throws off your beautifully executed plan.
Yes.
And now your
Yes.
times are off. Yes. I would say that occasionally, and I am pretty good in general of being able to go with the flow. Like, we could change things, we can do whatever we want, whatever works best for the situation. But there are quite a few things that if I've set something up and it's just, I consider it a work of art, it's all perfectly planned down to the T.
Yes.
And something throws in, I get a little bit like,
Same.
Yes, I think it's like my Halloween scare. So I would say that, and maybe it's more of a personality thing than a actual mistake, but we got to kind of go with the flow, and things change. And I mean, I don't get mad about it for hours. I just go, and then I say, okay, what can we do?
Yeah, I think like you said, we have a plan, especially for our buyers. We have them all timed out to go see certain houses. We've set up appointments to schedule with who, maybe if there's an occupant or a seller living there,
Right.
timed out. And then like they're either like, I don't like this neighborhood at all. I was like, I've got houses in the whole neighborhood for us to look at. Or they're like, oh, I want to see these 2-3 other ones. I'm like,
let's see if they're occupied and I can get you in.
Yes. I know. It's like, oh, yes. I didn't have time to schedule this. Like, I'll try to accommodate it, but at the same time, it's like, it's hard to do it at the last minute. So maybe other people do it better, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I feel like it's a agent thing.
I think it's an agent thing.
Yeah, I think we all feel that way.
Control freak thing, but I think that a lot of great agents are control freaks in specific ways, because we know that we need to get things handled in a proper way for our clients. So
I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah. So it's my personality trait, aka mistake, aka it is what it is.
It is. Things happen. We have to adjust, I guess. So cool. Well, is that it for our In 3 Nerds We Trust work-life balance episode?
Fall episode. Work-life balance.
Yeah.
Goldenrod rules.
I know. We look good. I'm just saying. This color is like really flattering. Alrighty.
Thank you guys for joining us. We hope you have a fantastic week, and please tune in to our next installment.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.
We go. Right.
I'm like all like residual bloody nose there, or I rub my lipstick up into it. I don't know.
It's the face we have.
It's the face we have. It's like a hive face. Oh my gosh. So I love your outfit.
I love how random we are. Look at us.
We did not plan this at all.
We did not.
And I know
it's fall time, y'all.
Ooh, yeah, like my mug. Happy fall, y'all.
See?
Complete with lipstick stain and everything.
All meant to happen. All meant to happen.
Yes. Okay, sure.
Whatever that is, you're not eating your dinner. Bye-bye. What happened?
Oh, no.
Eat it. That's gross.
Oh no.
That was so weird. Hey, don't eat it. That's gross. No, don't. I know it's your food, but don't. Oh, Bubba. Okay, you committed. Yeah, he was literally completely like in his little like potato nook. And then all of a sudden I heard this. I'm like, what the heck? Okay.
Did he eat more than he should have or something? Because I know like cats kind of do that, right?
I think that he probably had some, because he also likes to have some grass from time to time.
Oh yeah.
So it looked like there was a tiny bit of grass in there, but yeah, he's completely reconsumed it. So yay.
There is a Family Guy episode about that where Brian, the dog that talks, he eats his own puke. It's hilarious.
Animals are amazing, aren't they?
Yeah. And that brings us to the end of another exciting episode of In 3 Nerds We Trust. Thank you for listening and hanging out with us today. If you have any questions or topic suggestions, reach out to us at in3nerdswetrust@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you, so don't hesitate to reach out. If you found some value in today's episode and want to stay connected, here are a few ways you can do that. Subscribe to In 3 Nerds We Trust on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Leave us a rating and review on any of the platforms. Your feedback helps us improve and reach a wider audience. Share this episode with friends, family, or anyone who might enjoy the thoughts and insights we shared today. We'll have a new episode every other week, so please stay tuned for more interesting topics. Thanks again for your support, and follow us on Instagram and YouTube as well. Bye!